In 1982, the entire population of St. Catherine's Home for Children vanished overnight, 127 children and 18 staff members, gone without a trace. No bodies, no ransom demands, no signs of a struggle. The official report claimed the gas leak forced an emergency relocation, but no record showed where they went. For 30 years, the abandoned orphanage stood silent, its windows boarded, its secrets locked behind crumbling brick. Then, in 2012, an urban explorer named Tyler broke through a false wall in the basement and found something that made him call the police. Immediately, a hidden room filled with medical restraints, falsified psychiatric records, and documents so chilling they shocked even seasoned investigators. What they uncovered forced authorities to reopen a case buried for decades, revealing a conspiracy that turned innocent children into ghosts. Deputy Sheriff Sarah Manning was 3 cups of coffee into her Tuesday morning when Tyler walked into the station, backpack slung over one shoulder, dirt under his fingernails, and a nervous energy that screamed trouble. She looked up from the incident reports scattered across her desk. 2 domestic disturbances, one drunk and disorderly, the usual small-town chaos in a county where nothing much happened anymore. Tyler, barely 22, wore a flannel shirt and hiking boots, his pale complexion betraying too much time indoors with a computer. He stood at the front counter, shifting his weight, while Sergeant Miller finished a call about a missing stop sign. "Help you?" Miller asked, hanging up with more force than necessary. Tyler cleared his throat. "Look, I don't want trouble, but I was exploring this abandoned place last night, and I found something you guys should know about." Sarah's pen froze mid-sentence. Urban explorers weren't uncommon in the county, littered as it was with abandoned factories and empty schools that drew kids with cameras and too much time. Most were harmless most of the time. "What kind of something?" Miller asked, his tone thick with skepticism. Tyler pulled a manila folder from his backpack, thick with papers. "I was at St. Catherine's, the old orphanage. You know, empty forever." Sarah felt a cold knot form in her stomach. St. Catherine's, she hadn't heard that name spoken aloud in years. "Place is off limits," Miller said. "Posted signs everywhere. You could get charged with trespassing." Tyler's hand shook as he opened the folder. I know, but there's this hidden room in the basement behind a fake wall, and there's stuff in there. I think something really bad happened." He spread photographs across the counter, Polaroids showing a cramped concrete room, metal bed frames with leather restraints, filing cabinets, and stacks of yellowed documents. Sarah stood so fast her chair slammed into the wall. She moved to the counter, boots clicking on linoleum, and stared at the images. The room looked like a nightmare, a psychiatric ward from half a century ago. "Where exactly did you find this?" she asked, voice steadier than she felt. Tyler pointed to a photo. "Basement level, east wing. The wall looked normal, but I noticed the mortar was newer. I pried it open with a crowbar and found this space." Another photo showed the broken wall, chunks of concrete scattered, revealing a dark opening. "How big is the room?" Sarah asked. "Maybe 12 by 15 feet. Not huge, but packed with stuff." Tyler flipped through more photos. Medical files, treatment logs, names of young children. His face paled. "Normal kids don't get treatment like this. Not unless something's really wrong with the system." Sarah studied the photos closely. One showed a document header, Patient Transfer Authorization, St. Catherine's Psychiatric Evaluation Unit. Her blood ran cold. St. Catherine's was an orphanage, not a psychiatric facility. She'd grown up hearing stories about it from older residents. "Did you take any documents?" she asked. Tyler nodded, pulling 3 brittle photocopied pages from the folder. The first, a medical evaluation dated March 15, 1981, For Sarah Michelle Garrett, age 7, diagnosed with severe developmental delays and aggressive behavior, recommended for psychiatric intervention. But in the margin, in different ink, someone had written, normal development, healthy child, transfer for bed space. Sarah's mouth went dry. The second document was a transfer order. 23 children, ages 5 to 12, moved to a specialized care facility in February 1982, months before the gas leak evacuation. The third made her hands shake a list of 47 children, each marked transferred or processed with disposal codes next to the latter. At the bottom, in the same handwriting, God forgive us. These babies never deserved this. Miller, reading over her shoulder, whispered, Jesus Christ. Tyler, watching them, looked like he'd stumbled into a horror movie with no exit. You said there were more documents? Sarah asked. He nodded. Boxes of them, file cabinets full. He hesitated, then showed a final photo of a corner of the room where words were carved into the concrete. They told us we were sick. We weren't sick. Help us. Below, dozens of children's first names scratched deep into the stone. Sarah's chest tightened, like bands were squeezing her ribs. I'm going out there, she said, the words escaping before she'd fully decided. Miller frowned. Sarah, we should call the state police. This is above our— No, she snapped. This happened in our county. These were our kids. She looked at Tyler. You're showing me that room. Now. Tyler nodded, and Sarah grabbed her jacket, weapon, and keys. Miller muttered about protocol, but she was already out the station door into the gray October morning. The drive to St. Catharines took 20 minutes through winding county roads. Tyler, in the passenger seat, picked nervously at his folder. You do this often? Sarah asked, passing a rusted gas station. Urban exploring? Tyler shrugged. Sometimes. These places have stories, you know. Once they're gone, the stories disappear. Sarah nodded, unsure she agreed. Some stories might be better buried. The orphanage loomed like a Gothic novel's relic, 3 stories of red brick, broken windows, ivy clawing the walls. A sagging chain-link fence surrounded it. Sarah parked at the gate, her breath visible in the chilly air. The place felt wrong, heavy with something beyond abandonment. Tyler pointed to a cut in the fence. That's how I got in last night. They squeezed through and walked up the cracked driveway, dead leaves crunching underfoot. The main entrance was boarded, but Tyler led her to a side door where boards had been pried off. Door was already unlocked, he said. Others have been here before me. Inside, the smell hit Sarah like a blow mold, decay, and a faint trace of institutional disinfectant, boiled vegetables, and something indefinably sad. Tyler's LED flashlight lit a hallway of peeling paint and water-stained walls. Children's faded crayon drawings clung to a bulletin board near the old main office, making the abandonment more heartbreaking. Tyler pointed down a corridor. Kitchen's that way, dining hall's there, but the basement's this way. Their footsteps echoed as Sarah's flashlight caught glimpses of the orphanage's past, an abandoned wheelchair, moldering books, a child's lone sneaker. The basement door stood open, revealing dark wooden stairs. Stairs are solid, Tyler said, sensing her hesitation. It's just the smell that gets you. He was right. The basement reeked of must, rust, and something organic Sarah didn't want to name. It was a maze of storage rooms and utility spaces connected by corridors with exposed pipes. Tyler navigated confidently, stopping at a concrete wall. This is it, he said. Sarah's flashlight revealed newer mortar, just as he described. How'd you notice this? She asked. I was photographing the layout. The hallway should have been longer based on the building's footprint. I saw the mortar difference. The hole he'd made was 3 feet square, barely big enough to crawl through. Sarah shone her light inside, breath catching at the sight. Metal bed frames with restraints, filing cabinets, shelves of glass bottles and medical equipment unfit for an orphanage. Jesus, she whispered. I know, Tyler said, squeezing through the hole. And that's not the worst part. Inside, the smell was stronger rust, chemicals, and something stomach-turning. Tyler pointed to the carved message. They told us we were sick. We weren't. Sick. Help us. Sarah counted 30 names before looking away. Tyler opened a filing cabinet drawer, handing her a thick folder of medical records for children ages 5 to 15. Each followed a pattern. Orphans reclassified as mentally ill or developmentally disabled, normal behaviors like crying or asking for parents labeled as serious conditions. One file for Angela Rose Whitman, age 6, described her as healthy and intelligent, but weeks later claimed severe behavioral disorders requiring isolation. Handwritten notes read, "Child continues to ask for mother, resistant to sedation. Consider." Transfer to Ward C. Another file for David Patrick Coleman, age 8, included a photo of a windowless room, a child's bed with restraints, and scratched words, "Mama, help me." How many files? Sarah asked. Dozens, maybe more, Tyler said. Some kids were transferred to places that don't exist. Some are marked deceased, but the death certificates don't match the records. He handed her a folder with 7 death certificates, all signed by Dr. Marcus Thornfield, citing vague causes like respiratory failure. Handwritten notes read, "Disposal completed. No family notification required." They weren't sick, Sarah whispered. They were murdered, Tyler nodded, and covered up as natural deaths or fake transfers. Sarah's radio crackled. "Manning, you copy?" Miller's voice echoed. "County supervisor's asking about your location." She keyed the mic. "Following up on that report, back soon." She lied. "Everything's fine, just documenting evidence." Turning to Tyler, she said, "Show me everything." Every file, every document. Tyler hesitated. Some files mention a maternity ward. Babies born here, then transferred or processed. "You sure you want to see it?" Sarah's chest tightened. "Show me." The maternity files were in a separate cabinet, marked with red stripes and locked. Tyler forced the lock with a screwdriver. The files were meticulous, with photographs and precise notes. The first file made Sarah's stomach drop, a live birth record from February 15, 1982, for patient M47, a healthy male, 6 pounds 4 ounces. A photo showed a young mother smiling at her newborn, but the medical notes claimed severe developmental delays, recommending psychiatric evaluation and transfer. A death certificate, dated 3 days later, cited congenital heart defect. A handwritten note read, "TRF completed. Subject relocated to Facility 7. Mother informed of death as planned." Sarah flipped through more files, finding the same pattern. Healthy babies declared dead. Secretly transferred, mothers lied to. They weren't just taking orphans, she said. They were stealing newborns. Tyler pulled out a larger folder. Labeled Maternity Operations Summary 1981-1982. It outlined a systematic operation to harvest infants from unwed mothers, aged 16 to 25, with no family support. Mothers were housed in the maternity wing, given basic care, and told their babies died, while healthy infants were sent to approved facilities. The report praised Dr. Thornfield for documentation, Nurse Morrison for maternal counseling, and Director Margaret Walsh for operational security. Sarah's mind raced. "Margaret Walsh," she said. "She still lives here, runs the church food bank." Tyler stared. "The woman stealing babies is running a food bank?" "We need to keep looking," Sarah said. If Walsh is alive, others might know where these kids went. They documented each file, photographing the worst evidence. Over 15 months, 43 babies were born at St. Catherine's. 37 were declared dead but secretly transferred. Tyler found correspondence between St. Catherine's and psychiatric hospitals, research facilities, and private adoption agencies. One letter from January 1982 offered $5,000 per healthy infant, guaranteeing documentation erasure. They were selling them, Sarah said, voice hollow, to psychiatric institutions for experiments. Sarah's radio crackled again. Manning, suspicious activity reported at St. Catherine's, flashlights in the building. She keyed. The mic. It's me, following up, no assistance needed. But her neck prickled. Someone was watching. We need to finish fast, she told Tyler, photographing the carved names. She noticed newer scratches numbers, F747, F748, F749, and below, find us. Someone survived, she whispered. Someone came back and left this. A door slammed upstairs. They froze. Footsteps moved deliberately above. Sarah drew her weapon. This is Deputy Sheriff Manning. Identify yourself. The footsteps stopped, then the basement door slammed shut, followed by a lock clicking. Shit, Tyler whispered. We're trapped. Sarah's radio was useless in the basement. Spitting static. There's another way out, she said, more to herself. They searched urgently, hearing metal scraping above someone barricading the door. They're trapping us, Sarah realized. The scraping continued, heavy furniture piling against their only exit. Sarah's radio crackled faintly. Manning. We're on scene, Miller said. Building's empty, no vehicles. You copy? We're trapped in the basement, she replied. Someone barricaded the door. They may still be here. Miller responded, Copy. We're coming in. But Sarah knew the basement's maze would delay them. Tyler shook his head. I only explored part of this last night, but there might be utility tunnels. In an old laundry room, they found a metal grate in the floor. They lifted it, revealing a narrow concrete tunnel smelling of stagnant water. Sarah crawled through first, Tyler behind, navigating spiderwebs and muck. After 5 minutes, gray daylight filtered through another grate, leading to an old playground behind the building. Sarah waved to Miller, who jogged over with 2 deputies. She explained the hidden room, the files, the carved names. Miller's face darkened. Systematic child abuse, murder, baby theft, and someone tried to trap you down there? More than one person, Sarah said. The barricade took multiple people to build. Miller nodded. So there's a network still active. Sarah, this is beyond us. State police will want in. Not yet, she said. Give me 24 hours to document everything. If this goes public, the culprits will vanish. Miller agreed. To secure the scene quietly. And we need to find Margaret Walsh, Sarah added. She signed off on the maternity operations. Walsh's house was a picture of suburban normalcy, white clapboard, manicured lawn, a bless this home. Signed by the door. Sarah sat in her patrol car, struggling to reconcile this with the woman who stole babies. She'd insisted on coming alone. A single deputy was less threatening than a formal interview. Walsh opened the door, silver hair and a neat bun kind. Eyes behind glasses, a cardigan straight from a church donation box. Deputy Manning, what a pleasant surprise, she said warmly. Is everything all right? Following up on some old paperwork, Mrs. Walsh, Sarah said. Mind if I chat? Walsh invited her in, offering tea. The house was cozy, with doilies, family photos, and the scent of vanilla candles. A small dog yapped once, then settled. At Walsh's feet, Sarah studied a 1980s photo of Walsh with a man in a suit. "My late husband, Robert," Walsh said, pouring tea. "Passed 5 years ago." Sarah accepted a cup. "Mrs. Walsh, I'm here about St. Catherine's." Walsh's hand paused briefly, but her smile held. "That takes me back. I worked there 15 years, helping those poor children." "You were the administrative coordinator?" Sarah asked. "Handle day-to-day management, yes," Walsh said. Dr. Thornfield was medical director. Father Mackenzie oversaw operations. Sarah pulled out a notebook. "Do you recall the final months? The emergency evacuation?" Walsh's smile faltered. "Yes, a gas leak. We relocated everyone quickly." "Where to?" Sarah pressed. "Various facilities, foster homes." "It was chaotic," Sarah nodded. "Must have been hard, especially for infants in the maternity ward." Walsh's voice went neutral. "Infants? We hadn't had a maternity ward for years by 1982. Budget cuts." Sarah's pulse quickened. Walsh was lying. "That's odd," she said. "I found records indicating an active maternity program until the closure." Walsh's eyes sharpened. "Where did you find old medical records, dear?" "The buildings." "Not as empty as people thought," Sarah said. Walsh was silent, fingers tight around her teacup. "Those records should have been destroyed," she said finally. "Patient confidentiality." Sarah leaned forward. "Especially for mothers told their babies died when they didn't." Walsh's shoulders stiffened, her smile fixed. "I'm not sure what you think you found, Deputy, but every death was properly documented." "Documented, yes," Sarah said. "Accurate? That's the question." Walsh stood abruptly. "Speak to my attorney." Sarah stayed seated. 1. "Last thing, Mrs. Walsh. Do you know about Facility 7? Walsh's face drained of color. She gripped her chair. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Facility 7, where the healthy babies were sent," Sarah pressed. Walsh sat heavily, hands shaking. "You don't understand what it was like. Unwed mothers, unwanted babies. We were helping them." "By stealing them?" Sarah asked. "By telling mothers they were dead?" Walsh's mask slipped. "We gave them to homes that could care for them properly. Or research facilities for experiments," Sarah countered. Walsh stood again. "This conversation is over. Leave." Sarah tucked her notebook away. "I'll be back with a warrant." As she left, she saw Walsh on the phone through the window, speaking rapidly. Sarah called Miller. "She knows about Facility 7 and she's scared. She's making calls. We need to move fast." "What's next?" Miller asked. "Dr. Thornfield." Sarah said, "He signed those death certificates. If Walsh won't talk, maybe he will." Thornfield lived in a gated retirement community. Sarah showed her badge to the guard and found his unit, a tidy house with a manicured garden. The 83-year-old doctor opened the door, thin with wispy white hair and sharp blue eyes. "Dr. Thornfield." "I'm Deputy Manning. I need to talk about St. Catherine's." He didn't flinch. "I've been wondering when someone would come," he said, inviting her in. His house was sparse, with medical textbooks and diplomas. Photos of smiling children lined a table. "My real patients," he said. "To remind myself I wasn't always what I became at St. Catherine's." Sarah sat. "I need to know about the death certificates you signed," Thornfield nodded. "How many?" "I signed so many, I lost count." 37 babies, Sarah said, all healthy, stolen from their mothers. Thornfield didn't deny it. "I'm confessing to being a coward," he said bitterly, "to looking the other way while children were stolen and sold." He explained how it started as creative diagnoses for extra funding, then escalated to selling children to research facilities. "Why didn't you stop it?" Sarah asked. "My career would have been over," he said, "and the children would have." Disappeared anyway. Where's Facility 7? Sarah demanded. Thornfield's hands shook. It's not a place, it's a program run by psychiatric institutions and medical companies. Children were distributed based on their usefulness for psychological research, drug trials, behavioral experiments. Sarah felt sick. Are any still alive? Some, he said. Adults now, in their 30s, institutionalized their whole lives. He pulled a hollowed-out book from a shelf, revealing an envelope of transfer records, facility locations, and an organizational chart. Insurance, he called it. Sarah took the envelope, noting some facilities still operated. You've been waiting to expose this, she said. I've been waiting for someone brave enough, he replied. Her radio crackled. Manning. We have a problem, Miller said. Margaret Walsh is dead. Apparent suicide, but something's off. Sarah looked at Thornfield, who wasn't surprised. They're cleaning house, he said. Walsh knew too much. You're in danger, Sarah told him. Come with me. No, he said. If I go, I'm dead within 24 hours. Find those children, deputy. Give them back their names. Sarah arrived at Walsh's house, now a crime scene. Miller briefed her. A neighbor heard a gunshot, found the door open. Walsh was slumped in a chair, revolver by her right hand, a clean gunshot wound to her temple. A suicide note confessed guilt for St. Catherine's, but Sarah noticed issues. She's left-handed, she said, recalling Walsh's tea pouring, and the tea set's gone. Detective Burke, from State Police, agreed the scene felt staged. The note's handwriting was too deliberate, unlike Walsh's grocery list. Homicide disguised as suicide, Burke said. Sarah showed him Thornfield's documents explaining the conspiracy. Walsh was a key witness, Miller added. They eliminated her. Sarah's phone buzzed with a text from a blocked number. Stop digging or you'll end up like Margaret. Some secrets are worth killing for. She showed Miller and Burke. We need to get to Thornfield, she said. He's next. But a radio call interrupted. A fire at Thornfield's retirement home. They arrived to find his unit engulfed. The fire chief suspected a gas leak, but Sarah knew better. 2 witnesses dead in hours. At the sheriff's office, the evidence locker was ransacked. All St. Catherine's files gone. Inside job, Burke said. Sarah found a drop transfer. Order for patient M47 to Pine Valley Research Institute. Thornfield's notes indicated Pine Valley was shut down in 1995, but relocated, not terminated. A radio call reported a suspicious person at Sarah's house. Her mother lived there. They raced over, finding the house trashed, a manila envelope. On the kitchen table with a photo of Sarah's mother in a hospital room holding a sign, "Stop the investigation or she dies." A note read, Pine Valley Research Institute, Building C, Room 237. Come alone. Bring the Thornfield documents. Sarah drove to Pine Valley, a seemingly abandoned complex with hidden security cameras. She hid a digital recorder in her jacket. Dr. Phillips, a middle-aged man in a lab coat, met her. "Where's my mother?" Sarah demanded. "Safe for now," he said. "The documents?" Sarah demanded to see her mother first. Phillips led her through a clean, antiseptic facility to an underground corridor. Through a window in room 237, Sarah saw her mother, unharmed but frightened. Sarah handed over the envelope. Phillips led her to room 241, introducing subject M47, Michael, a man in his 30s with familiar eyes. Born at St. Catherine's, officially deceased at 3 days old, he'd been a research subject for 30 years. "Michael," Sarah said. "Do you know your last name?" "Just Michael," he replied. "I've always been here." Sarah's chest tightened. Her mother went into labor at St. Catherine's on February 15, 1982, told her baby died. "Michael, I think I'm your sister." Phillips paled, reaching for an alarm, but Michael stopped him. "No more tests," he said. "I want to see outside." Sarah asked about others. 26 in this building," Michael said. "Some here longer than me." Footsteps approached 6 guards, Michael whispered. He led them to a hidden maintenance tunnel, revealing he'd mapped the facility for years. Phillips admitted to documenting objections to extreme experiments. They emerged in a kitchen storage area near a communal room where 23 adults in gray uniforms ate from plastic trays. Most looked pale, some rocked repetitively. Michael announced Sarah was there to help them. Leave. Reactions varied: tears, fear, hope. Sarah showed them a photo of the sky, promising real names and families. Phillips protested, but sirens and helicopters signaled federal agents arriving. Sarah raised her voice. "Police and agents are coming to help, not hurt. You have real names and families waiting." To Michael, she said, "Our mother's name is Linda Manning. She's been waiting to sing you lullabies." Agents stormed in, and chaos ensued as terrified victims faced law enforcement. Sarah's recorder captured everything. 6 months later, in court, Dr. Phillips got life without parole. 3 administrators got 25 to life, a state official 15 years. Walsh and Thornfield were named conspirators, their deaths ruled homicides. Of the 26 rescued, 18 reunited with families. 8 started new lives. Michael, now David Michael Manning, lived with Sarah and their mother, learning to laugh, sing, and garden. Every morning he asked, "What are we going to do today?" For 30 years, others answered for him. Now he answered himself. The conspiracy was broken, the stolen children coming home. Sarah learned the greatest investigations weren't about solving crimes, they were about bringing families back together.